y'all, it's Mondays with Mel. Hey y'all, happy Monday. Hey y'all, happy Monday. Thank you so much for joining me for Mondays with Mel. I cannot wait to get to my Mondays with Mel family and make good on the promise that I made you on last week. I said that I was going to share with you some of my journal notes, guys, because I have been doing this heart exercise with you. I hope that you took time on last week to really sit down, have the conversation with yourself, talk about those things in a safe space with your spouse, your mom, your dad, your family members, and even coworkers. If it's a safe space for you to have those conversations with your coworkers, and just give yourself a heart check. What are you really feeling? Why do you feel this way? And I said that because a lot of times we have seeds that are planted within our heart, and a lot of times we don't know what they are, but they end up kind of like, taking root and just, turning into something super big. And a lot of times we don't know what those seeds are or what they've manifested until it's too late sometimes. So I am so grateful because the video that I posted on last week opened up so many opportunities and doors for me to have these conversations. As I said last week, it's universal and it's something that can't stop. I was very proud of the company that I work for taking pretty much a stand and making it very public that we do not support racism, any type of police brutality or discrimination. So that did make me feel very proud. And it also opened up a lot of doors. The video that I posted was used as a segue to so many open platforms and conversations. So I was definitely blessed by that opportunity. And I promised you guys that I was going to share some of my notes with you from my own journal, guys. I've been putting in the work. And as I said to you on last week, put the work in, give yourself a heart check, have those hard conversations, ask yourself those hard questions. So my thing is that I want to talk about, I can't even go over all of my notes with you, but I do want to share a couple of seeds that I realized have been planted. And some of them were planted over the last couple of weeks because of all the incidents that have happened. But some of them has been planted over the last 30 plus years because like on the week before last or the week before, these same incidents keep happening. So I do want to talk to you about three of them. So three of mine are anger, bitterness or resentment, and fear. I'm angry because this keeps happening over and over again. Guys, we are in 2020 and the same exact thing keeps happening. And it keeps happening because Black people are not viewed as human, especially our Black men. They're not viewed as human. And until that changes, it's going to keep happening. So it starts with a heart check across America, especially within even the police. This week I'm calling it out. Even within police, our police personnel, you got to give yourself a heart check because sometimes, like I said, those seeds are very tiny. They start off so small and they come out in very ugly ways. So this week, yep, I'm calling that out. So with me, it was anger because it keeps happening over and over again. I remember being a little girl and just hearing stories from my mom that still break my heart to this day because I did a check-in with my mom. Mom, how are you doing through, how are you processing this? How are you feeling? Because for her, I know it's bringing back memories of her growing up, being in the South. And the one story that just keeps ringing in my head over and over and over again, my mom being the same age as my oldest son, 7 years old, and her grandfather coming in telling them to go in a room and hide, and him having to grab a shotgun. My mom peeked out the window and she saw a cross burning on their lawn with the words KKK, the letters KKK. I can't imagine my 7-year-old son being exposed to something like that, seeing that, and not having fear for the rest of their life. Because my mom experienced fear through that, I experienced anger. that had been manifesting for like 30 something years. And then it's almost anger on top of anger because you hear story after story. You see incident after incident. You see killing after killing, murder after murder, and discrimination after discrimination. And you're like, when is it going to be enough? Bitterness. Bitterness because the same thing keeps happening over and over again. As I said, we're in 2020. And you would have thought that my mom had to deal with this in like 1950, 1960. And she's still dealing with this in 2020. We're still dealing with this as a country in 2020. The next one that I had was fear. And I think fear had been planted. Matter of fact, not I think, I know fear had been planted over the last 2 weeks, especially in this area dealing with racism and discrimination and police brutality. Now, growing up, I've had my share of being stopped by the police. I've had my husband being interrogated by a police officer where I almost feared for his life, but I acted out of fear, and I was so scared where I was even yelling at the officer because you just didn't know what was going to happen. Which brought fear, not to all officers, and I get it. Hey, I'm going to make the statement public for you guys because I know you're watching this and you're going to say, well, not all police officers are bad. I know that. I come from a long line of people that bleed blue. They're police officers within our family members, within my community, that I have friends that we eat and break bread with who are police officers. So you're absolutely right. Not all police officers are bad, but also not all Black men are bad. So I'm going to make those two statements and merge them together. And we're going to sit right there with that one for a minute. Like I said, anger, bitterness, and fear. Those are the three things that have been planted in my heart that I really wanted to deal with over the last couple of weeks. For one, I don't want to be angry. I don't want to be fearful. I don't want to be bitter, because these are seeds that can be planted and come out in ugly ways before you even know it. I also don't want to pass that down to my children. I don't want my children to live a life of fear. I absolutely don't. I don't want my children to live a life of fear. I don't want my children to have bitterness in their heart. I don't want my children to be angry, because as they get older, if this continues, those are seeds that will definitely be planted, because they will see things, they will hear things, they will experience things. So guess what? Things have to change. And I'm going to fight for my children so that those things can change. Heart checks are necessary. Just like I gave myself a heart check, and I'm still working through this. I'm still putting in the work, because these are things that I don't even want to pass down through my children. I love my mom to death. My mom is one of the most compassionate, loving people in the world. And I say to her all the time, how in the world did you experience all of this? And you can literally still show love to any and everyone. No matter the race, the creed, the color. Special woman. Very special woman. That's what I want my heart to look like. That's what I want my children's heart to look like. Hey, y'all.